On April 21st, the eve of Earth Day 2011, AWC staff Ian Dowdy and Matt Skroch went with Sonoran Institute senior strategist John Shepard to the La Posa Plain in western Arizona to take a look at two proposed solar power generation sites, one of which was on land inventoried as a citizen's proposed wilderness area. Although generally in favor of renewable energy, both the Sonoran Institute and the Arizona Wilderness Coalition focus on ensuring that these facilities are sited appropriately, rather than increasing the impact of humanity on the wildlands of our state. The La Posa Plain sits west of the Plumosa Mountains and is covered with sandy soil which shifts over time, forming dunes in an otherwise flat terrain. Vegetation consists primarily of creosote and bursage shrubs, cholla, and thick stands of ocotillo, which featured bright red flowers on this visit. Fauna species include coyote, rodents, bobcat, lizards, and a wide variety of insects. On a windy day, blowing clouds of dust can cloud the stark beauty of this rugged Sonoran desert environment. I took the time to interview Matt and John on solar development and the importance of balancing renewable energy with wildlands protection.
Hello, I'm Ian Dowdy, Conservation Outreach Associate with Arizona Wilderness Coalition. I'm here with John Shepard, Senior Strategist with the Sonoran Institute, and Matt Skroch, who is the AWC Executive Director. We're out here in the middle of the La Posa Plain to evaluate some land that is actually being considered for solar development. And it's great to be here with Matt and with John. So John, talk to me a little bit about solar development and why it's so important in Arizona.
Well, Arizona has absolutely terrific solar resources. So this is a great place for us to look at large-scale solar development. And the good news is that there are both BLM lands, state trust lands, and private lands that are ideally suited for large-scale solar. We think that large-scale solar can coexist with land protection efforts, and so we're out here to look at various sites that might be ideal candidates for protection as wilderness, as well as for utility-scale solar.
That's great. Matt, can you talk to me about AWC and its role with solar development and why we're out here in this particular location?
Yeah, just to reiterate some things that John said earlier, we definitely think that there's a role for public lands to serve in the future of our sustainable energy economy. And here in Arizona, it's a sunny place. We are the Sunshine State, and solar development is going to happen, it should happen, and the Arizona Wilderness Coalition and the conservation community as a whole would be wise to be supportive of that effort and to play a role in it. Our organization is obviously interested in protected areas, whether it's the designation of new protected areas, adding to our state's wilderness heritage, or acting as stewards of existing protected areas. And there are going to be times where our role is necessary in order to play a role in guiding solar development in appropriate places. I think that the main interest here is to promote and to minimize conflicts. Obviously our public lands serve a lot of different uses. We use them for things from mining all the way to the strictest wilderness resources. And solar is going to have a place in that spectrum of things. If and when solar goes onto public lands, we're playing a role as a partner, as a collaborator, and as a resource that can provide input on how and where to minimize conflicts with wilderness resources, with wildlife resources, and with other environmentally sensitive lands.
Excellent.
As conservation groups, I think Arizona Wilderness Coalition and the Sonoran Institute are taking a long-term view with this because we realize that climate change is occurring, and if we're going to minimize greenhouse gas emissions, which are a major contributor towards climate change, we need to promote large-scale renewable energy development. And we feel that public lands have a place to do that, and both organizations are working to make sure that we do it smart from the start.
John, talk a little bit about the current state of solar development in Arizona and where you see us going from here.
Well, solar technology is a rapidly evolving technology, and so there are a lot of really exciting developments that I think we can anticipate with greater efficiencies, reduced cost in developing solar. And what's really interesting is that not only are we looking at large-scale solar being placed in Arizona, that's also helping to draw jobs to Arizona, and particularly in the manufacturing area. And so we see this as both a conservation and a sustainable economic development strategy for Arizona.
That's great. Matt, talk about the importance of balancing naturalness and natural areas, especially public lands, with bringing sustainable energy to the state.
Arizona has a lot of sunshine, and it makes it a great place for solar development. It also has a lot of public lands. It has a lot of open space, and it has a lot of wilderness resources. And here, where we stand, just north of Quartzite, we're in the lower Sonoran Desert. It's an extremely stark, beautiful place, and you can really see the raw material out of which nature was carved here. And southwestern Arizona, the Bureau of Land Management lands here have some really unique features that are unique in relative terms to our entire country. And so there's also places here that are perfectly appropriate for solar development. So again, minimizing these conflicts between wilderness resources, wildlife resources, and solar development can be done if we have the right team of people and a collaborative approach to these processes. So we're looking forward to that and playing a role in making sure that there's integration between solar development and wilderness protection.
AWC will continue to stay involved in evaluating solar projects on our public lands to ensure that negative impacts are minimized as much as possible.